Specialized has made the 2022 Allez Sprint incredibly similar to the Tarmac SL7, but can it ever compete with its carbon-framed bigger brother? And is it as Specialized claims, the world's first alloy superbike? Let's find out. I won't go too deep into the marketing spiel surrounding this bike. We covered that in our tech article, which you can read over on the site. Instead, here are the headlines. Number one, it is the fastest ever alloy road bike, or so Specialized says, beating the old Allez Sprint by a claimed 41 seconds over 40 kilometers. You get the same seat post and fork as you'd find on the S-Works Tarmac SL7. There are sensible features here, such as clearance for 32mm tyres, a threaded bottom bracket shell, and a removable braze-on front derailleur mount. The bike comes in just one build here in the UK, weighing 8.74 kilos and costing £2,650. And finally, Specialized has once again turned to its Delusio smart weld technology to join the tubes together. The big question, in my mind at least, is how the Allez Sprint compares to the Tarmac SL7. This is my S-Works SL7. It's a frame set currently built up with the latest 12-speed Ultegra Di2 group set. Now that's in for testing, so make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss that video when it drops later this month. The good news, if you haven't got Tarmac money, for me, well, the Allez Sprint doesn't quite match the SL7. It does, though, get incredibly close. The only real difference between the two bikes comes when you start to climb. The SL7 is easy to build down below the 7 kg mark, and while we can't compare builds here, the Allez just wasn't as happy on the steeper gradients. The fact is, though, the frame set, which costs £1,599, can be built up to very closely resemble the SL7. In the process of doing that, you're going to save a huge chunk of cash. No, literally thousands. And that could be put towards another bike or a cycling holiday. I'm going to Mallorca on Sunday, thanks for asking. Or you could spend it on the kids, up to you. Now, alloy frames always had a reputation as being harsh. A bad one will be, but a good one isn't. Cannondale proved that with the CAAD range. It really is a nice bike to ride. And while it certainly is a firm ride, as a race bike should be, I think, it isn't going to beat you up on normal roads. But the nicest thing for me was the handling. The new bike has lost a little bit of the twitchiness of the old frame, thanks mostly to a longer top tube. But the way that the bike now simply sails through fast corners is addictive. The one drawback to the Allez Sprint, especially when compared to the smooth lines of the SL7, well, the drawback comes at the welds. Specialized uses what it calls smart welds, which we first saw on the S-Works Allez in 2013. To anyone that had done a bit of welding in the past, you might know this better as a bit of a V-prep weld, and it's simply where the two tubes come together and they meet and form a V, and Specialized welds down there. Specialized says that this gives each tube in its own right much greater strength, while also minimizing strain on a high stress area. For me, it is a shame that Specialized hasn't been able to make the external face of the weld smoother. I honestly think that the weld lines are going to be enough to send some people off in search of a carbon bike. Just remember the price of £2,650. That is getting yourself into the territory of some bloody good carbon bikes. And yeah, I can stand here in the cold and tell you until I'm blue in the face, or quite literally soon the hands, that aluminium bikes can be far better than cheap carbon. But it is still the case that carbon has this kind of allure that aluminium just doesn't. Speaking of money, there is an elephant in the room, and that is the sizable price hike over the 2019 model. That cost £1,900, and it had the same group set, the same wheels, the same tyres. It was pretty much the same bike. It is quite tricky to make alloy conform to these shapes, so some of the increase can be forgiven. But then you're also going to be paying for the fact that everything from like raw materials to shipping has got more expensive, and maybe some design costs, but it's still a huge hike. For me, the DT Swiss wheels would be the first thing to go. For pure aesthetic reasons, this bike deserves a set of mid-depth carbon wheels. A set of 50mm rims would just be perfect. I'd also look to get yourself the stem from the SL7, as that can create a much cleaner finish with the cables routed really nicely underneath. I have to say though, I am now getting a little bit picky. The bike as a package is still very good. What really can't be argued is that the Allez Sprint Comp offers a far more affordable route into the road bike market than the Tarmac SL7. For the money though, this is one of the best bikes on the market, full stop. We also recently took a look at the Specialized Crux, and if you want to see me riding my SL7 for 13 hours, then watch my attempt at an Everesting. Thankfully, the video for that is a lot shorter, only 3 minutes. Remember to subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching.